So the question is, which accent do I want to use for my recaps for this? Because I'm getting tired of doing my soap opera voice. So why don't I use the movie fortune teller voice? Please note that this has no relation to any real accent that exists in the real world. Let's see if this gets me canceled. Welcome back for the least convincing accent ever. Last time on the Zodiac Academy, The Awakening, the girls learn that they are princesses and will inherit unimaginable wealth if they graduate from fairy college first. They met 4 interchangeable hot boys. The teachers were 100% fine with the student-on-student violence happening right in front of them, as one of the girls was attacked by a vampire. Darcy goes to the air tower where she decides she would rather die than cut her hair. And Tori was faced with a lion, fire mannequins, and had all her clothes burned off. She's chill with it. And the guys here are really hot. Alright, we are back. It is ferret o'clock, so they are running around. And we are going to read some more Zodiac Academy. Taking a little break from listening to Crimson Rogue discuss Lightlark, because apparently it's Lightlark o'clock. Don't destroy my chair, Jojo. You know the rules. Right, we are back with Darcy for Chapter 7, and this is going to be a long chapter, so I might have to take a break. But I did unload my memory card. Oh, okay, and bye. I won't let her destroy the chair, so she's just done with me. Alright, if we remember, Darcy, last time we saw her, yeeted herself off of a tower rather than cut her hair, with no notion that she would actually be able to save herself. And of course, there's a giddy smile pulling at her mouth, because that happens about 12 times a page in this book. Oh, we're not going to find out what it was. Great. So she says, I gathered my wavy locks into my hands, having an intense emotional reaction to them. What emotional reaction? What are you feeling? Can we go deeper? No, absolutely not. But then she says that she started dyeing her hair blue because of a pivotal moment in her life, which she was determined never to forget. But it doesn't tell us what that pivotal moment is. Apparently it doesn't matter, but she would rather die than lose her blue hair, so I guess we're just meant to infer that something important happened in her past. Why would you want details when they were hot boys? If I was her, though, as well, I would be like, no, fuck this. Like, she just goes back into the tower like, haha, I succeeded. I would be like, no, fuck y'all. I'm gonna go, I don't know, live in the woods. Like, I'm not staying with you people who first just pranked me and second tried to get me killed. Victory sailed through me on a summer breeze. That sounds like a Jenna Moreci line. But she goes and the guy is waiting and he gives her key, so she has succeeded in proving herself, yada yada. Irritation rattled through me. Okay, we are going full Jenna Moreci with this chapter. And like I said, this particular author is less skilled on a prose level than the previous, so this is a little clunky to read. About every other line, there's something for me to chuckle at. I jerked aside, my upper lip peeling back. Now I know she means that she's like curling her lip or snarling at him, but peeling back makes it sound like she's actually peeling her lip. I don't know. To me, that just doesn't work. Also, like, she had to step close enough to get the key from him, but, like, that allowed him to, like, grab her hair. And she's just, like, I just don't understand these girls. I mean, I know she's the meeker of the two, I guess. But, like, he grabs a hunk of her hair, and she's just like, I can't show him pain. And it's like, kick him in the balls. He does not get to grab you. Like, jeez. Jesus Christ, stand up for yourself. A smile captured my lips. Okay, I just gotta read these lines every now and then, because just what? Why? Really missing out on making their rooms very cool and like stylized, because she gets to her room and it's just, you know, the classic bed, desk, bookshelves, all that stuff, and I'm like, it's the Tower of Air. I want there to be theming. Like, let me feel like this is the air place. So when she steps inside, it's big windows, and the bed looks like a cloud or feels like a cloud, and like everything in it is like made to accentuate the view because they're in a tower. So like the desk is by the window, so as you sit and do your homework, you can feel like you're flying. Like, do something with it. Oh, and there's an iPad as well, so we don't have to be away from technology, and the author does not have to get creative at all, thank goodness. But I mean, honestly, it didn't make sense that there was no technology in the wizarding world of Harry Potter, so maybe this actually makes more sense. Fairyland is keeping up with the times. Because how are these guys going to bully these girls if they can't also do it when they're not doing it physically in person, if they can't also do it online? Like, we have to have the full range. Otherwise, how is this bully romance going to work? She sees that her name in the school registry is the name that her parents gave her, and she changes it. But then that gets her thinking about, like, oh, I feel abandoned, like it's almost worse knowing I was abandoned. And like, what about the children that were switched with us and put in probable danger? I'm assuming that those 2 kids are dead. I'm assuming that they were killed almost immediately because we're given no details about it. So I assume they just fucking died. And she's like, well, that was cruel to have us swapped with those children. Like, where are they? And I think that's probably the last we're gonna think about it. But I do feel like we need to put horrifying implications on the bingo card because we have had some horrifying implications so far. So horrifying implications is going on the bingo card. It's next to the free space here. Gotta mark that off. We could almost have a bingo if we get horny and messy world building or no world building in sight, which I feel like for this book is probably pretty likely to happen. So we are already well on our way to a bingo, and we are only on chapter, what, 7? Hello, Ferret. Maureen just scuttled by, very businesslike. She's in a hurry. She's got places to go, tubes to crawl in. Also, their phones work here, so I'm glad to know that Fairyland is completely up to date and even uses the same cell phones. Cell phone service, cell phone towers that we use in the human world. But she talked to her sister so that they could share all of their trauma. And she's like, oh man, what Darcy went through was so much worse. And I'm like, you threw yourself off the tower to what you thought was your death. And like, we were not concerned because we knew, we've read books before, we knew that your powers were going to save you. But like, why did you, who on page did not believe that you could use your powers, think that that was a good idea? We talked about internal logic in books with Lightlark, but there's also internal logic within moments that we have to remember. So if you find yourself, like sometimes this happens to me because I can be stream of consciousness, I'll have my character thinking one way and then going against that, contradicting that, unintentionally. So like, and then my betas will point out and be like, hey, she said she would never do this, and then she like immediately did it. And I'll be like, oh yeah, you're right. I need to change that up so that she maybe considers it more. Something, build it up more so that their actions match their thoughts, especially if we are privy to their thoughts, especially in what I write, which is third person limited, and even more so with first person, because we are privy to all of their thoughts. We are in their head. If you are writing in first person, you really shouldn't be lying to your reader unless you're like, a lot of thrillers explain it away with like mental illness later. But no, this is just laziness. This is just regular world laziness of her going like, I don't know how to control my powers. I don't know. Yeet! Got distracted chatting to my friend about all the work we did on our new land yesterday. Become a patron if you want to keep up with all of that nonsense, because boy howdy. But now there are ferrets everywhere, so it's okay. Yes. Once again, hand waving away any conflict that these girls might feel. They're both like, man, we hated that, we hated being mistreated, this sucks. But then, right after that paragraph, it says, in the end, we both agreed to try to make the most of this incredible opportunity. What incredible opportunity? You have no idea. Like, these people have told you that you're queens, but you've never met these people. They seem really fucking shady. They're fine standing by and watching while you get bullied and bitten and thrown off of towers. And you think that they're really gonna give you the throne? Like, okay, I guess this is an incredible opportunity. I'm begging you to rob Fairyland. Please, heist. I need it. And Maureen is getting into my art supplies. Maureen, what are you doing? Things that are not for ferrets, Maureen. Come here. Come here. Come here. I'm naughty and was getting into Mummy's art supplies. Yay! You're a little goblin. You are such a little goblin. Hi, Chai-Chai. I'm not a little goblin. I'm a sweet, precious baby. Oh, the girls get a daily horoscope. I think I heard about this. This is going to be great. I love how the authors have harnessed the complete vagueness of a horoscope. Like, I know, and if you believe in the horoscopes and whatever, that's up to you, but like, as somebody who doesn't, just standing back and reading it, it's so vague. It really could mean anything. And they, honestly, they have captured the vagueness of the horoscope in a way that like makes it A, read realistically, and B, I think it's actually going to kind of work for the story, because it talks about between Libra and Aquarius, your day may become very challenging. And it's like, oh, so are we going to get 2 characters, one from Libra and one from Aquarius, that are going to come pester the girls? Probably. I assume so. I'm curious to see. So like, oh, she's back playing in my art supplies. It's fine. So as hilarious as that is, I think it kind of works. They even get free makeup. Human schools don't provide that. That's a real bummer. Well, now you know this really is a college. She finds a bunch of uniforms in the closet as well as yoga pants. So it's good to know that we're still just out here wearing yoga pants and then t-shirts with the school's logo on them. Or sorry, her house logo on them. Missing leggings though, we need leggings. I think actually yoga pants was like a generation before. Once again, these authors are showing their age. I think the kids wear leggings now. So the other kids are like ignoring her, and she says that it doesn't bother her because she proved her worth yesterday. All you did was throw yourself off a tower. If I was these other kids, I would just be like, she hasn't proved her worth, she's just a weird dumbass. Like, ooh, you can use wind to save yourself. So can all of us. So we have her friendship in the form of a burly girl. Curious what we're going to be doing with that, but at least we have somebody with a different body type, so that's nice. Her name is Geraldine. Geraldine is a member of the Almighty Sovereign Society. Oh good, it's good to know that our main characters already have a built-in cult following them, but she's like, yeah, we're on your side. She's more upset, like deeply upset about this girl kind of fawning over her than she was about being physically grabbed by the guy yesterday.
She needs to sort out her priorities.
Yeah, this is supposed to be like funny, a humorous moment that she has some allies because they're just so loyal and that's cringy. But the acronym for their society is ASS, A-S-S. So she's thinking about how if she sees this girl coming, she will just jump into the nearest bush. But she's fine, once again. She'll tolerate just being manhandled by a hot guy. We get a very bare bones description of the school building, the university building that she goes into. It's a very standard tall stone building, lots of marble. That's it. I have no idea how any of these buildings are arranged in relation to each other. Like, I don't know, is there a campus map? Maybe there is a campus map. Okay, so I guess technically this ugly, sloppy, pixelated fantasy map in the front is the campus map. But I guess it's mostly like the school buildings in the middle and then the towers where the kids live around the outside. There's some place called the Howling Meadow and the Wailing Wood. Oh my goodness, like, okay, whoever put this map in did not do a good job because there's something up above called the something place, but the word is literally cut off. So I don't know if it's better to have a map that's this poorly done or not to have a map at all. What do you guys think? So she goes to her classroom, looks like it's a pit class for her first day. She finds a seat, her sister finds her sister's little tag-along friend finds them. So she's like, have you managed to avoid the asshole in charge of your dorm? And she's like, yeah, but then Darcy is like, by the way, I found us someone else to avoid. And she tells her about Geraldine. And I'm like, the priorities on these girls, where they're just like, yeah, these guys who have physically, like, bitten us, threatened us, burned off all of my clothes, just keep getting way too close, sniffed me. Yeah, they're just jerks, but we can tolerate them. But watch out for this girl who's a little bit too enthusiastic about us becoming queens. Cringe, am I right? You have a cult at your fingertips, use this. Also, they call, what's his name, the fire asshole, which just makes me think that he needs some preparation H. Oh, here we go. We have the Hispanic character, ¿Qué pasa, amigas? He starts out with. I heard about this character.
Hola amigos, I am Speedy Gonzalez de Paz Esmaus en Mexico. Arriba! ¡Épandale!
You know, this is a pet peeve of mine. This is a pet peeve. I don't like when people say, I turned at the male voice. So, or the voice was male. Like if you don't know the speaker and they'll say, the voice was male or the voice was female. I prefer to say the voice was masculine or the voice was feminine. That gives you a better idea of the tone of the voice without presuming the gender or sex of the speaker. Like, that's just a nitpick of mine. A deeper voice doesn't always mean that you're going to turn around and be speaking to a man, and a higher voice does not always mean you're going to turn around and be speaking to a woman. But as a person myself who does get mistaken for a guy fairly regularly just because I have short hair, the short hair just confuses way too many people. But like if I wear baggy clothes, pretty indistinguishable from a guy, and I do have a deeper voice for a woman. Like, it's not the deepest, but it's deeper. So like my voice potentially, and I've played a lot of men on stage, so I can pass. I've been in plays where I played a man, and then I've had people come up to me after the play and be like, "You're a woman?" So you don't necessarily know that you're going to turn around and see a man there. It's a weird flex that I can do that, but it's a flex nonetheless. So the Hispanic guy explains that Solaria is a mirror world, so they have fairy Mexico. Also, he just assumed that they spoke Spanish because, and I quote, "Our Latino looks had served us more than one occasion like this." I'm white, but that feels gross to me. Does that feel gross to you? That feels gross to me. Like, what is that line? Also, we gotta keep our main characters as ambiguously brown as possible. Like, what is their nationality? Who knows? Who cares? Their nationality is hot. Of course his name is Diego, because presumably these authors watched Dora the Explorer, and I suspect that they thought that that's all they needed to learn about Spanish-speaking people before they wrote this book.
Hola, Diego!
Hola!
I'm getting that vibe already. This guy has been on the page for one page, and the vibe is so strong. Ah, yes, I heard about this. Their social media page is called Facebook, which honestly I don't hate because it's stupid and I think it's supposed to kind of be funny. Like, I think it's tongue-in-cheek. Oh my god. But they look at some posts on there, and it hurts me. It hurts me to read the attempt to sound like how people talk on social media. And maybe this would happen in any book, but whenever books or fiction try to mimic the way that people talk on social media, it never looks right. Like, there's something about social media that it has its own like language, it has its own verbiage, it has its own syntax, it has its own everything. And when you try to mimic it on the page or on the screen, because you see it in movies and stuff as well, it never matches. And this is here as well. Like, it just, no, it's like the uncanny valley of social media. Don't worry, everyone. Diego is not like the mean boys. It's muy clicky. Finally, Professor Orion, who of course is their teacher for this class, comes in. He's 10 minutes late. He's sipping on a coffee. Does not give a fuck. We cannot forget that Darcy here has the hots for Orion. He has the same body type as all the other boys, and therefore he is desirable. Obviously, student-teacher is it's a big popular trope in romance. I don't really care about it one way or the other, but it doesn't, like, some people are really grossed out by it, and it doesn't gross me out as much as it does some people. But, like, for me, the romance tropes that I can't stand especially are, like, incest. I hate that one. And, like, student-teacher, if you do it right, I don't always hate it. And we were told repeatedly that he is not actually that old. Like, he's only a few years older than them, or at least appears to be. I mean, he's Fae, so. But as long as we have learned from many, many a book, as long as the guy doesn't look a lot older than her, then it's fine. If she's 17 and he looks 17, but really he's a 1,000-year-old vampire, it's not gross because he looks 17. So some random stuff happens. It doesn't really matter. But mostly it's just Professor Orion flexing his power over the class, because everything here has to be about power disparity and imbalance. So he says that their midterms will be a thing called the Reckoning to decide if they even belong at this school. So this school definitely feels like it was made up by a much younger person, because everything is so intense all the time. Like, there's zero chill at any point ever. So that it feels like these authors, most of the time they feel like older women trying to write younger people, but here it feels like they have channeled their inner 13-year-olds who are just like, everything is drama, everything is angst, everything is dialed up to 1,000 all the time. So now we're learning about the orders of the Fae, and there's like just different classifications for people to be in. So we have the Tenea, the parasitic orders, which is the vampire and the siren, and then they have Mutatio, but my brain immediately was like potato, because it's got some of the same letters, and you know. And these are the mutant orders, which is dragons, manticore, griffin, cerberus, pegasus, werewolf, Nemean lion, the Nemean lion's in here for some reason, hydra, Caucasian eagle, chimera. There's a fucking bunch of things in there that I was even not expecting. Like, why are some of these in here? And why are some not? Like, I'm sure there are more mythical creatures than this. Like, why doesn't this list go on forever? I don't know. What and who decides whether you are a mythical creature that can go to class or are not? Like, why are there Pegasus but no unicorn? And finally, the Devices, spliced orders like the Minotaur, the Medusa, the Centaur, the Cyclops, the Sphinx, and the Harpy. No mermaids. He also peeled his upper lip back. Okay, good. Orion is also a vampire, so yay, we have the werewolf and the vampire romantic interests. That hasn't been done to death or anything. Again, everything is just dialed up to 11 and just completely bonkers. Orion wanders over to Diego's desk and takes a chomp out of his arm, even though the girls are sitting like way at the back, so I expect it takes him a while to get back there. And it says, don't you as a teacher have to ask for blood, but he just explained that these vampires don't drink blood, they drink magic, so like, what is the magic in the blood? Because it didn't seem like yesterday when Seth or whoever bit whichever of the girls he bit, it didn't seem like he took blood, so I'm confused about how this world works. I'm about ready to give this messy world building or no world building in sight, but is our magic system never explained? Baffling magic system. I'm so close with either of those, but I'm going to go just a little bit longer just to get even more confusing. I have faith it will, and then we'll give it those. I don't want to be too generous with my bingo squares. So he definitely drank blood from Diego. Diego is already looking a little bit like weakened from it, even though whoever it was yesterday drank whichever of the girls and she was fine. So I don't know when are they drinking blood, when are they drinking magic. Even though Darcy is the more cowardly of the two sisters, she decides to step up for Diego in this moment, and I don't really understand why. Because Tori's right there, so have Tori stand up. I guess I do know why. It's because this author is specifically writing Darcy, and so everything that happens in this chapter has to involve Darcy. And like, I could see this as being another problem of working with a fellow author collaborating like this, is because when you get to the chapters that are about your character, you kind of forget to have the other character do anything that would be in character for them. So in my opinion, it would definitely be Tori, the bolder of the two, who would stand up and say something. But because this is not Tori's chapter, she will not do that. That's definitely a risk you run, I feel like, when you're collaborating and going one chapter at a time point of view like this. But because nothing lasts in this story, like 2 lines later, Diego says he's fine and he's just like back to normal. All the girls are like, oh my gosh, Orion is so hot. We're hot for teacher. Which of course makes our current main character jealous because she is also hot for teacher. Most of this class, in fact, basically all of this class, like we had a brief moment where we were learning something, but mostly it's just an excuse for all of the students to interact with the hot teacher and him to prove that he's hot and dangerous. And it feels really very random. Like, what is happening now? The teacher's just hanging around vibing, waiting for somebody to talk about how hot he is so that he can snark back and give somebody detention. Also, they can just use the chat feature in the middle of class on their, like, because they use their tablets for everything, including Facebook. So while they're supposed to be doing classwork, they're just chatting back and forth. Sure, I mean, I guess this is college, not high school, so maybe nobody cares. For some reason, when Darcy gets her first message on her Facebook, it doesn't make a noise. But then when she sends a message, it does make a noise, and she gets in trouble for it. I guess I just don't understand how fairy technology works. How long is this fucking class going to keep going on? Because I am bored out of my mind. He yells at her for interrupting his class, and I'm like, what class? This is very fanficky though. Like, this reminds me so much of a fanfic, where most of it is, you read a fanfic just for like interactions like this, just like all these back and forths that don't need to be here, they aren't moving the story, it's just a chapter of filler, of fluff. And you read fanfics for that, and like I said, books like this are very fanfic adjacent. They have a lot of the same style, a lot of the same tone, a lot of the same tropes, and unfortunately the same pacing. Which works for me in a fanfic because I'm there for the characters that I love, but doesn't work for me as well in an original story like this because I don't care about any of these people. But you are here in a story like this for the archetypes. So instead of recognizable characters from other IPs, we have archetypes, so it's roughly the same. Somebody called Falling Star is just like randomly sending messages to stir the pot, because that might as well happen. Orion decides that he wants to make the girls stand on their desks because he's a dick, and so they have to be, you know, embarrassed in front of the class for stupid reasons. Also, he said that no magic will be performed in my class, and then apparently he just got bored, I'm assuming. And so he's like, I'm gonna make the girls stand on their desks, and I'm gonna use coercion, which is magic, and they have to figure out how to block it, even though I specifically said there would be no magic being used in my class, but whatever, we don't care, this is just dumb. This is just a series of things happening, which I suspect is gonna be how this book goes from now on. Heat slammed into my cheeks. The desperation for people to describe blushing in new ways is just kind of absurd at this point, like slammed. Oh yes, I forgot. Every chapter will be a series of things that culminate in the girls being bullied somehow. So now everybody's taking turns just like using magic to compel them to do things. Because that might as well happen. You know what, should we write that might as well happen? Is that on here? Yep. Well, that just happened. I feel like it's covered by this. We're gonna put that. That's mostly supposed to be there for like extreme coincidences that, you know, get the characters what they want. But it can also, I feel like, be for moments where it's just like, why is this happening? Who gives a fuck? That might as well happen. Principal Nova has now entered the room while everyone is compelling the girls to do the chicken dance on their desks. And I'm like, is there anyone else in this school? Are Orion and Nova the literal only adults and teachers here? The headmaster and the hot guy? Do we ever get to meet anyone else? Oh, apparently there are other professors somewhere. Because Nova's like, yes, the girls clearly suck. I agree. And so they must have teachers. And so I will make you a private tutor for one of them. Guess which one I'm sure it's going to be. And another professor will have to teach the other. So Nova just came in so that she could assign tutors and then she leaves again. Like, that's all, logistically, plot-wise, she existed for that long. She came in for no reason, was like, oh, the girls have to have tutors. I assign the girl who has a crush on you for you to tutor her. Okay, bye. So the only nod we get to her horoscope at the beginning is that at the end of the chapter, she wonders if Professor Orion is a Libra. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't have, and maybe we did and I just didn't realize it because I don't know the categorization, I don't know the categories, whatever it is, of any of these people. So maybe a Aquarius and a Libra gave her a hard time today and I just don't know it. What category are you in? That's what instead of what's your sign, I'm gonna go be like, what category are you in? Anyway, that chapter took up the entire memory card, so I am going to stop now and I'll probably record more later today, but for now, break time. Are you a writer? Have you finished a book, but now you don't know what to do? Because you know it needs to be edited, but you're not sure what steps to take next. How do you keep it from turning into a situation like Lightlark or the Zodiac Academy? Have you always wanted to say, my book is with my editor right now? Well, now you can, with me, because I'm a developmental editor. I'm the sort of editor who can help you figure out whether you've got plot holes, whether your characters are interesting and engaging, whether your story is moving at the right pace, and lots of other things. So go ahead and message me over on my Fiverr, links in the doobly-doo, and we'll help you figure out how to make your story the best it can be. Alright, yes it is the same day, but Boy, did I not want to get back to this. I was like, let's do anything except go back to reading this book. I do have an emotional support donut, but will it be enough? So, place your bets now. Will the main characters go to another class where more bullying will occur? Or are we going to skip ahead through the day to the end of classes where more bullying will occur? The thing that really bums me out about this book is knowing, because it's in a series, I'm never going to get any kind of satisfaction. Like, if I'm reading this bully romance because I know that eventually these assholes are going to start to turn around and like our main girls, I know that's not going to happen in this book, because there's more books in the series and you gotta stretch that shit out as long as you possibly can. So like the most I can look forward to is maybe like a little smile or nod of acceptance. Like, we're never gonna get any kind of payoff because there are more books. Hopefully I'll even find enough to talk about in these chapters, because it just seems like it's not gonna be much. But we are back with Tori, whose author is the slightly better writer of the pair, so at least there's that. Apparently it was a double cardinal magic class, and I have no idea what he could have taught them for that long, all morning long, until lunch. Because he didn't teach, he taught them like one thing, and then he sat behind his desk, and if any of them twitched, he got up and bullied them for a while. Was that the whole class? I guess I can only assume so. Also, we keep getting hints that there's this sport that they play called pitball, which I'm just assuming is basically Quidditch. The girls are going to lunch and the bad boys are there. So they are hailed by the girl from before who wants them to be queens, and immediately they're both like, "Eek, get away." And I'm like, she got you a table, so you don't have to worry about where to sit. She likes you. She's probably going to shield you from the mean boys. So what if she's a little bit cringe? Go sit with her. Nobody in any of these books is ever interested in like making alliances. It's Layla all over again. You can't see what's good laid out right in front of you. So what if something turns out to be a little bit annoying, if it's gonna help you out in the end and make sure you don't get killed? For supposedly being so smart and savvy and like running their own lives since they were teenagers, both of these girls do not know a good thing when they see one. Like, run a con on these people. They're like, we don't want to be around anyone. We don't want to go over by those people who will definitely help protect us from the bullies, because those people are a little bit weird and intense. And it's like, you don't have to really be their friends if you don't want to, but at least use them for your own benefit if you're supposed to be such criminal masterminds. We get a whole paragraph about how good the sub sandwich that they got from the cafeteria is. The girls leave the lunch area and they just go wander into the earth portion of the campus, and some flying unicorns land in front of them. And they are storybook unicorns. They are children's book unicorns. They literally sparkle like vampires in the sunlight. Now they are petting the unicorn. Riveting. Some of the unicorns are pink, so there's that. Luckily, the pink unicorn is a girl unicorn, because heaven forbid we would have a boy unicorn be pink. So the girl unicorn goes off into the trees and comes back, having transformed back into a girl. And the boy unicorn, who they had been petting this whole time, it turns out was just like sneakily sexually harassing them by rubbing his face on their chests and such. Because he transforms into a guy who is naked, and just this school is why? Also, apparently, in this universe, Pegasi are winged unicorns. So I guess that answers my question, what about unicorns? They're just the same animal here. Oh sure, she'll punch this guy. Him she'll punch. So it turns out that the Pegasuses, charge their magic by flying through the clouds in their horse form. Which makes me wonder, like, how do Darcy and Tori recharge their magic? Because they are like human fae, or are they gonna get some kind of, because it seems like everybody's got a little bit of something. Like, are they gonna turn out to be werewolves or vampires or something like that? Or are they so special that they don't have like another mythical part to them? So then Tori and Unicorn Girl Sophia go to their next magic class. And it says, Sophia kept me amused with facts about her order as we went, but we don't actually get any of those facts because that would be interesting. We have another glass building. Why do glass buildings follow me in all of the books that I read? Am I cursed? Why is everybody making their buildings out of glass? I'm a Sagittarius, which helps. We love learning new things, and we're usually pretty intelligent. Sagittarius people in the comments, accurate? It just explains why she's always info dumping. Apparently nobody else had to go through the whole burning their clothes off thing because she asks Sophia if Sophia had to do that, and she's like, no, guess because I'm not very powerful. And it's like, or it's because you're not the main character. And all the other characters don't have to go through hard things, just the main character. Also, like, there's just so much fluff. I'm just reading and kind of skimming because these characters are having a conversation, but it's just a meandering, lazy conversation about not really anything terribly important. I don't know how there's room for all of this stuff because apparently within walking distance of everywhere, there were things like a coliseum, like a whole coliseum. Oh, we finally have another professor! Yay! She has short red hair and deep bronze skin. Oh God, why? Why can no one name anything? It's not hard. Guess what her name is. She's the fire teacher. Go ahead and guess. Guess. Professor Pyro.
Everybody's so creative.
We also have the guys doing a lot of purring. That's pretty much a romance book classic. It's not a romance unless the guys are purring. But when they go into the arena, the ground keeps shaking and she almost falls. And of course, guess who catches her? It's another hot boy. It is the guy from the Earth place, the Earth house. And he's a vampire, so he immediately starts to bite her because what else would they do? The teacher does intercede eventually in this vampiric thing. Apparently, it's just fine if the students feed on each other, but she's like, okay, leave her some magic so she can do fire spells. I'm just assuming this is normal now, because he's like got her pinned to the ground, and I'm assuming, just like visually in my head, picturing all the other students, just every now and then someone will tackle someone else to the ground, feed off of them, and leave, and like nobody cares, that's just a Tuesday. And he just like claims her as his personal feeding source because of course he does. And I imagine that's sexy too, I don't know. Look, allosexuals confuse me enough as it is. And then you start getting into your weird romance tropes and I'm just like, sure. And I'm not aromantic. It just like some of this stuff. We keep hearing, like, belatedly how the girls are annoyed and they're, like, getting one over on the guys because she looked away or she turned away or she, like, lightly insulted them and they're like, grr, I don't like it when this girl stands up for herself. But it's like, she's not really, is she? Like, if I was them, I'd be like, magic be damned, fortune be damned, I am leaving because if I'm going to be tackled to the ground and bitten, like, at least once a day by someone that I do not like, I am leaving. And yeah, maybe you would have it so they find out they can't leave and they're trapped here. But at least give them that much agency to try. Because every time something terrible happens to them, they're either like, oh, but he's hot though. Or, oh, but I have to stay here because I want to learn magic. Like, no. We do have to, however, mention that Darius, who also showed up, how his muscular body looks in his tight clothing. We have to mention that. That's important. So they're all tasked with casting fire, and immediately she just does. She doesn't have any trouble thanks to being chewed on by the vampire guy. She just casts a giant fire, a big fire. And there's also very little explanation of the magic or what wielding the magic feels like. Like, what does it feel like to conjure the fire from inside of you, to create it yourself? She just does it. She just holds out her hand and then boom, fire. Bigger fire than everybody else's fire. First of all, letting us know what casting the magic feels like helps ground us with the character, but also it can be utilitarian. Because later on, if she's trying to cast the magic again, and maybe she can't for some reason, then we can have her feelings then of what it feels like that is different in that moment. That feeling of not being able to access the power when she accessed it so easily before. If we know what that feels like, we have context for when something is wrong. Because our main character is the special, though, she doesn't feel weakened by using her flame powers. In fact, she's like, I think I'm getting stronger. She's just so powerful that the teacher, the professor, has to come over and help her get her powers under control. She's so powerful that now the teacher is like wiped out from helping her, and the teacher's like, I was just so arrogant to think that I could help you control your powers. And you guys know how I feel about characters that are just the most powerful, the most special. It's just not for me. Some people I'm sure love it, but it does not entice me. I don't want characters that are the best. I want normal people. I mean, yeah, I can be normal people within a magical world, like they can still have magic, but I'm just over reading about lost princesses and the most powerful whatever in the whole world. Oh, of course, of course. The teacher's like, your magic is so unmanageable that we should probably have the vampire guy, like, drain you on a semi-regular basis. Everything in this book is steering the girls towards hot guys who want to abuse them. Every single plot point and moment. I mean, I'll give the authors this. They are focused. This isn't like Lightlark, where just random plot threads go off in all directions. We know what we want. Interactions with hot boys. And the entire plot will bend itself around so that we can have that. This could be a good baby's first lesson in doing that, though. Because when you're writing a story, sometimes the plot, the world building, the magic system does have to bend in such a way so that you can get the story to where you want it to be. And while this is doing it on a very overt level, it might be good to look at as just like a starting place, because you can very clearly see the author doing it. So it could be a good place to start for your very first time, because it is so overt and over the top. And if you're just starting out, maybe that'll kind of help you understand how to do it, so then maybe you can try to do it yourself, but in a more subtle way. And also, she's going to have to be tutored by Darius, who is the Fire Prince. So we are doing everything we can to throw her in the way of these hot guys. Hot guys very much so in this case, because he's the fire guy. So hot, flameo hotman. She even thinks to herself, why don't I want to take lessons from him? Oh, I'm just being a whiny little girl complaining because he's mean to me. Again, what a terrible message. You should tolerate it when men are horrible to you. Because if you don't tolerate it, you're just being a whiny little girl. Like, no, you are not being a whiny little girl. You are being targeted for abuse. But instead, this book's gonna brush it off and be like, well, they're hot. Well, if I complain about it, I'm just being whiny. And it's just so disgusting. It's gross. I don't know if that is your vibe and you're an adult reading this, whatever, you do you. But if you are a teenage girl, that is creepy and gross. Meanwhile, the two guys who came to watch the class became distracted, and now they're in an all-out fist fight, like, on the ground. I'm picturing it very homoerotically, quite frankly. And everyone's just like, yeah, they do that. These guys are toddlers. They are toddlers. And I expect we're supposed to, like, come to respect them and think that they're awesome. You know, this reminds me a little bit of the villains in the Adventurer Mage book, because they are also very powerful magic users who were not disciplined, were not given any sort of reining in. We're always told that they were special and deserved better. And they're the villains. They're the villains. They're spoiled, they're entitled, they're powerful, they're the bad guys. These guys are the romantic interests. I don't know why the professor gets to tell these guys to do this, because clearly the professors have absolutely no power over these spoiled rich boys. But she's like, hey, Darius, you have to tutor new girl. And he's like, okay. And it's like, how come they have to listen to the teachers at all? We already established that this teacher is too weak to do anything about it, because she was already overcome by Darcy. Is it Darcy we're with? I can't remember. No, Tori. We're with Tori. So she was already overcome with Tori's power. So she has no chance against any of these boys, and she just lets them do whatever the fuck they want. So, like, why would they listen to her? And that's the end of the chapter. The professor goes, hey, you have to train her. And he goes, oh, but I'm so busy. And she goes, no, you have to. And that's it. And he's like, yes, ma'am. For some reason. Well, like I said, maybe a good baby's first lesson in how to make sure everything in your plot is focusing on one goal. Because that is something that this book is at least doing. There is no doubt that the only reason we are here is hot, mean boys. Cool powers? No. Cool place? No. The theming with the horoscopes and whatever? No. Hot jerks? Yes. But that's enough for me tonight. I'm gonna go do something else. Anything else, really.
A good boy, a bad boy, a good bad boy, a half good, half bad, half boy.
Actually, I don't need any of that because I have patrons. Patrons like Valkyrie, Veda, Ingrid, Roma, Pansing Pony, Julius the Nice Dragon, Haley, Sam, Kiara, Kohikaro, Mooney, Maria, Kirsten, Bear, Jojo Bookish, Lauren, Robin, Ursula, Caitlin, KJ, Lafone, Amanda, Celia, Neon, NVM, Alyssa, Deborah, Afra, Melissa, Swamp Goblin Waifu, Sophia, Marween, Kit, Hidden Glade, Light Julie, Belle, Patrick, Anne Sophie, Callison, Ray, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Rennie, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, and Sarah. With patrons like that, why would I need anything else?
I want to meet Diego. Sure, Boots. Do you want to meet my cousin Diego? Great. Hola, Diego.
Hola.
Diego, this is mi amigo Boots.